Hello and welcome to our first ever webinar. My name is Njeri Muchunu and I am the founder and chief principal officer at Transforming Leaders from the Inside Out. Karibu sana. Today, I would like to speak about one of my favorite leadership topics, leading yourself. But before I begin, I would like to encourage you to watch this webinar till the end because guess what? I have an amazing surprise for you. Keep listening and you could be the beneficiary of whatever I have to offer because you matter. Now, let's get right into it. The toughest person to lead is yourself. Viktor Frankl began as an Austrian psychiatrist. His real training and horrendous suffering began in World War II as an inmate at the Auschwitz concentration camp. It was there that he lost his brother, his father, and his wife. Over the period of 3 years, when he was in the camp, he made a series of discoveries and developed a theory of psychology which he called logotherapy. Now, you might be asking, Jerry, what is logotherapy? Logotherapy is based on his observations that the inmates who knew why they were alive were the ones who survived the camps in largest numbers. He also discovered that discovering this meaning must be individual. In other words, we must determine our own mission in life for ourselves. Today, indeed, is the first day of the rest of your life. And today you can choose what you are going to do, where you want to go, what you are saying to yourself about yourself as you walk through the next 30 or so minutes when we will be together. While a healthy diet and exercise are always ways to reduce the risk of a stroke, research suggests that having a high purpose in life plays a significant role in preventing strokes. Can you believe that? Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." There is another verse in Psalms 118 verse 24, which I latch on to every morning, and that is, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad." What a way to start your day and give meaning to your life. My time here with you today is very special. What makes this time so special to me is I am here to talk about a subject that I am so passionate about and I know makes a difference in everyone's life and in business life of every organization. The topic is leadership. What would it be worth to you to learn from another leader's mistakes? If you could gain insight and strategies from other leaders' years of trial and errors, would you be interested in it? Tell me, would you? But this is a huge subject, and I'm basing my comments on a book by John Maxwell titled Leadership Gold. I want to just talk about some of the lessons of the 26 in this book that can help you increase your leadership today. If you have ever experienced failure at least once in leading others, just raise your hand right now. Yes, I'm raising mine. All of us have experienced a failure when leading ourselves or leading others. The stakes are really high in leading others today. There is more competition, slimmer margins, and the pressure to perform is increasing, not decreasing, in today's volatile markets. Would you like to take advantage in helping your team become successful? I'm sure you would. Let's talk about leadership, especially some gold nuggets that you will be able to apply right away after you leave this webinar. It's been said, a wise person learns from his mistakes. A wiser person learns from others' mistakes. But the wisest person of all learns from others' successes. The author of this book has been a friend and mentor of mine since 2016. John Maxwell has mentored thousands thousands of individuals and hundreds of companies over his leadership career. He believes and has proven in his work that leadership makes a difference, a huge difference. Leadership requires a lot from a person. It is demanding and complex. In our brief time today, I want to consider the topic, the toughest person to lead is yourself. Now, I want to ask you a few questions. Why is it so critical that you lead yourself well? Question number 2. How do you lead the toughest person in the room? And number 3, how do you deal with criticism while leading others? We are only going to scratch the surface of this topic. However, I want to give you tangible takeaways to raise your leadership muscle today. So how do you lead the toughest person in the room? Let me give you a moment to think about it. Think about it. How do you lead the toughest person in the room? Let me throw a second question. Who is the toughest person in the room to lead? Is it your boss, your son, the driver? Who? Come on, someone, share with me the answer. Who is it? The answer is you, my friend. You are the toughest person to lead in this room today. Friends, the person I have the most difficult time leading is myself. This is a full-time job. I have to motivate myself. I have to discipline myself. I have to protect my integrity. The list is endless. Why is it this way? Well, I believe there are 2 reasons. Number 1 is that we don't see ourselves as we see others. And number 2, we are harder on others than we are on ourselves. Human nature equips us with the ability to size up everyone in the world except ourselves. It is remarkable how most people lack self-awareness. I have worked with a number of clients, and what I have noticed is that they almost always point fingers at someone, indicating that the said person needs to change and that person needs help. They lack a realistic perspective of who they are. They lack basic self-awareness. So you ask, how can I help this person? How can you help yourself? As John says in this book, we tend to judge others according to their actions. It's very cut and dry. However, we judge ourselves by our intentions. Even when I blow it, I let myself off the hook because, after all, my motives were good, right? Njeri, you might be asking. So how do I lead myself well? A great question, I must confess. Allow me to give you a few takeaways. The first thing you need to do is develop self-discipline. It is said that one day Frederick the Great was walking on the outskirts of Berlin when he encountered a very old man walking random straight in the opposite direction. "Who are you?" Frederick asked his subject. "I am a king," replied the old man. "A king?" "Ha!" laughed Frederick. "Over what kingdom do you reign?" And guess what his reply was? "Over myself," was the proud old man's reply. Self-discipline is simply giving ourselves a command and following it through. Self-discipline is the highest form of leadership. You are the captain of your ship, the master of your own soul. Leading yourself is a challenge, and one of the places where your character shows up is how you lead yourself. Honestly, friends, there are days when I just want to take a break from keeping myself under control. The problem is, it is not wise to take any day off. Which leads me to the second action point you can take to lead yourself. Seek accountability. I've heard John say, people who lead themselves well know a secret. They can't trust themselves. Isn't that true? Can you really trust yourself? It is when you think you are untouchable that you learn how quickly you can be touched by poor choices. Do you have an accountability partner or a peer group? Thomas Watson said it so aptly: nothing so conclusively proves a man's ability to lead others as what he does day to day to lead himself. So those are the 2 points: discipline and accountability. Now, let's talk about criticism for a minute. No one loves to be criticized. If you do, then you may need some professional help. How do you know you're a leader? You will know when you're getting kicked in the rear. Every leader has a target on his back. Every leader has a target on his or her back. So how do you handle criticism? As a leader, you'll always get criticized. So how do you handle that? I love the story of a salesman who was getting a haircut and mentioned that he was about to take a trip to Rome, Italy. Rome is a terribly overrated city, commented his barber, who was born in northern Italy. What airline are you taking? The salesman told him the name of the airline, and the barber responded, "What a terrible airline. Their seats are cramped, their food is bad, and their planes are always late. What hotel are you staying at?" The salesman named the hotel, and the barber explained, "Why would you stay there? That hotel is in the wrong part of town and has horrible service. You're better off staying at home." "But I expect to close a big deal while I'm there." The salesman replied, "And afterward, I hope to see the Pope." "You'll be disappointed trying to do business in Italy," said the barber. "And don't count on seeing the Pope. He only grants audiences to very important people." So in other words, he was saying that this guy is not important enough for the Pope to give him his time. 3 weeks later, the salesman returned to the barber shop. "And how was your trip?" he asked the barber. "Wonderful," replied the salesman. "The flight was perfect. The service at the hotel was excellent. And I made a big sale. And," the salesman paused for effect, "I got to meet the Pope." "You got to meet the Pope?" Finally, the barber was impressed. Tell me, what happened?" "Well, when I approached him, I bent down and kissed his ring." "No kidding! And what did he say?" "He looked down at my head and he said, 'My son, where did you get such a lousy haircut?'" People can change for the better only when they are open to improvement. How you handle criticism is so vital to your growth as a leader. When I'm criticized, I try to maintain the right attitude. And how do I do this? I try not to be defensive. I try to look at the grain of truth in what they're saying. I make the necessary changes, or I can choose to take the high road. When you sit in the leader's seat, criticism finds your desk. Whether it's legitimate or not, maintain a positive attitude that there is gold in the pile of dirt. Here are some questions I ask to determine what kind of criticism it is. I ask myself, who criticized me? Adverse criticism from a wise person is more to be desired than the enthusiastic approval of a fool. The source of the criticism often matters. Another question I ask myself, how was the criticism given? I try to discern whether the person was being judgmental or whether he gave me the benefit of the doubt and spoke with kindness. At times, even if the criticism is devoid of kindness, try and listen to the message. Don't dismiss the person because of the way the message has been delivered. Try and look for the gold nuggets in there. And the third question I ask myself, why was it given? Was it given out of a personal heart or for my benefit. Hurting people hurt people. They lash out or criticize or try to make themselves better, not to help the other person. Whether the criticism is legitimate or not, what determines whether I grow from or groan under unwanted words is my attitude. So attitude is everything. My friends, the world belongs to passionate, driven leaders. People who not only have enormous amounts of energy, but who can energize those whom they lead. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. People gravitate to passion. Are you passionate about the work you have, the life that you live? Do you know your purpose in life? I would like us to wrap up right here. Let's wrap up what we've talked about today. And we'll wrap up in this way. People will summarize your life in one sentence. I'd advise you to pick it now. What is it that you want to leave behind when you pass from this earth? Claire Booth Luce cleverly called it this. Claire Booth Luce cleverly called this your life sentence. If you are intentional about creating your legacy, people at your funeral won't have to wonder what your life sentence was. Eleanor Roosevelt remarked, "Life is like a parachute jump. You've got to get it right the very first time." In the end, people are persuaded by what they understand, not what we say. Ensure you say it, role model it in the way you would want it understood. Begin choosing the legacy you want to leave behind. It may be just by beginning the process, but that's okay. You must start in order to finish. Well, our time together is coming to a close, and there is so much we could take time to investigate. Would you find studying this type of material presented here today helpful? Would your institution achieve better results? That is a question you need to answer. For those of you who want to find out more, here are a couple of ways you can do that. Change starts with awareness, and to increase your awareness, you need to be intentional with growth. To stay in a growth environment, I offer a variety of programs and opportunities. One of those opportunities is a mastermind group for groups like this, where I come and facilitate a meeting once a week for 5 to 12 weeks, premised upon evolving in leadership. I have access into John Maxwell's wide vault of leadership material, and I have created quite a bit of my own. For those of you who want to dig a bit deeper and are interested in working on one-on-one with me and want a faster track to meaningful leadership transformation from the inside out, I have a coaching program that will help achieve results today. The Standing in Your Truth is an amazing means towards organic transformation. It is much more intensive. So if you really want to see enduring results and sustainability, and if you want to understand who you are and why God created you, the Standing in Your Truth program is the one for you. Everyone, it's been a pleasure to be with you here today, sharing some ideas with you. I look forward to working with you again in the future. Last but not least, let me tell you about an amazing online platform that will enable you to continuously work on your personal growth and development. The Njeri Muchunu Academy. Yes, there is a Njeri Muchunu Academy where you can stretch your personal growth and leadership muscles. The Njeri Muchunu Academy is excellent because you have 24/7 access anywhere in the world. Another thing why it is good and ideal for you is because you work at your own pace. There is a diverse range of modules guaranteed to stretch your leadership muscles, and we will be there to support you along the way. We have a number of modules up and ready, and today, this is what I was telling you about, guys. Today we have an offer especially for you because You matter. One of the modules in the academy is resilient leadership. At the beginning, I told you a story about a psychiatrist, Viktor Frankl, who observed at his time in a concentration camp that inmates who survived the camps were those who knew why they were alive. Resilient leadership is a module that focuses on helping you know who you are, what your values are, what your strengths are, and what your vulnerabilities are, and the areas you need to improve. How can you lead yourself if you don't know who you are? We want to start you off on a self-discovery journey with this module. We have a 50% discount. Yes, you heard me right. A 50% discount on this module for anyone who signs up before the 31st of October 2019. Yes, you did hear me right. We have a 50% discount on this module, Resilient Leadership, for anyone who signs up. You who is listening, sign up to this offer up until the 31st of October 2019. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we will answer all the questions that you have. You can reach out to us at www.njerimuchunu.com. We are here to serve you. Remember, God loves you, God cares about you, and your gift to Him is to unpack and unleash the potential that He put in you. You are a leader by design, and God wants you to be the best possible version of yourself that you could possibly be, because you matter.